So, very good evening, friends. Meeting again in the session of Organon, and we were discussing the chapter number 12, that is the dynamic action of the drugs. Since last 3-4 lectures, we were discussing this chapter, and this chapter is very important because he tried to explain the concept of exactly what is dynamic action. He tried to explain the scientific view behind the dynamic action, taking into consideration the basic sciences, the biology, the chemistry, and the physics, and trying to explain each and every detail about it. He explained all the pros and cons. What are the things which happens when you potentize a medicine, when you reduce the medicine, and why there is a need of different types of potency, different types of scales, the decimal, the centesimal, and 50 millisimal. And to conclude, in the last lecture, he explained over there that one should have a range of all potencies in the practice, because you don't know what potency will be required. For one patient, it might be a 6 potency, 6C potency is needed. For another patient, it might be a CM potency. It varies. It depends upon the susceptibility of that individual. It depends upon the age. It depends upon the sex. It depends upon the environmental factors. It depends upon the pathology. It depends upon the disease. And that's why we must have the whole range. And that with that range, it is possible to come to the conclusion. So this is what he has tried to explain over there. And last paragraph, he said that the physician should have all this range, whole range of potencies necessary in order to get in his practice, so that he can treat each and every variety of patient. So we were on page number 110. Let us go ahead with the new paragraph and what he says. The knowledge of potentization was gradual growth. And indeed, the last word is not yet said. But this discovery ranks among the highest of Hahnemann's work and makes the question of use of these potencies the one great thing that is due to Hahnemann's mind alone, and will be his greatest lasting contribution in the evolution of this system of applying drugs to the cure of disease. It has remained so far unexplainable, but a fact. The effect is manifest to all, but in its mode of action, it is a mystery. The principle of similars was the little practical use until the principle of dynamic use of drugs and the minimum dose were discovered to complete the trinity. And then all three angles were complete, each equally important, yet each supposing the other to make a complete system of cure. Then and only then homeopathy become practicable. See what he has explained. He has explained it very thoroughly. He explains that the discovery of homeopathy was not an important thing. What a discovery of minimum dose or dynamic action of drugs was to the Hahnemann. Because homeopathy was known before Hahnemann. Only thing is that no one have practically applied it. But he is the Hahnemann who has practically worked upon it, and he came to the conclusion, yes, there is a law of similars, and then he declared it to the world. But the concept of dynamism, the concept of vital force, the doctrine of vital force, and then the doctrine of drug dynamicians, all those things which are very, very useful and important from homeopathic point of view, which he has discovered. And that is not happened within a day. It took a long time to develop. It is not within a day. It is a long period. So it takes years together to come to reach to that level, to understand the concept of dynamization. And that is greatest discovery. And that greatest discovery is of law of minimum dose, or the doctrine of drug dynamization, doctrine of drug proving, all those things. Along with that, the doctrine of chronic diseases, that is one more important entity which he has tried to explain over there, and he explained about it. That is also one of the greatest achievements. So these are the things where Hahnemann really worked it out. Those are the things which were very essential, and which came into existence, because of which this concept of dynamization has came to the conclusion. Then what he says further, were it not for knowledge of the dynamics of drugs and the minimum dose, homeopathy would have sunk back with the memory of Hahnemann's provings of a few drugs, as it did after the work of Hippocrates, Haller, and Stahl. This is where the great genius of Hahnemann shines forth and will continue to shed luster more and more as time goes on. So here he become a different. He is different from rest of the peoples. He has made the practical experimentation of those things, and because of which he went ahead. He came into focus because of the experimentation, and that is the in fact the path which Hahnemann have developed. The discovery and development of dynamic principle of medicine was forerunner of the knowledge of many things that are generally accepted by the scientific world, although they remain among the things hard to be understood. Our wonderful development in the electricity, with the radioactivity of matter, the radio, the chemical affinity, and many other scientific discoveries have been made possible as similar, almost parallel discoveries to this of Hahnemann. It was the direct cause of the rejection of Newton's concept of matter as a hard, massy material atom, and passing on to the acceptance of concept of electron and our present day concept of minuteness of matter, and it was eventually forced the recognition of the infinite divisibility and four dimension of the matter. So see how Hahnemann came to the conclusion of concept of dynamics. He started reducing the doses. First, he being an allopath, he started using medicines in larger doses. Then he started reducing it. Even after reduction, half of it, he found the results with the medicine. Then he reduced again half of them. So gradually he came to the conclusion that even he has reduced to the minute dose, still the medicine is acting. Then he utilized basically the science. Then he considered that if every atom consists of a energy at the center, why not to reduce it? The radioactive substances liberates their energy. If it is so, if we potentize them, if we make them triturate, or if we make them more fine and apply the force, is it possible to divide the nucleus and release the energy? It is a thought. It was an first an induction in his mind, and he never remained with induction. After induction, he has utilized the Lord Bacon's four criteria. So inductive logic is he has thoroughly followed the exact observation, the correct interpretation, the scientific construction, and then he came to the rational explanation. Yes, this worked. His hypothesis of liberating energy from the medicine by all those methods of potentization, that is succussion and trituration, which was an hypothesis, ultimately came into the existence after experimentation. And has a scientific basis. It is not just a thought, it is a fact, it is the experimentation because of which he reached to the concept of dynamization of medicine and making the drugs more and more dynamic. So it is a big way or long way he has to go to come to those conclusions. But ultimately, it has worked. And we are lucky enough. We got it um, from Hahnemann's own experimentation. We got all those results, and because of which we are utilizing the homeopathy. So the minuteness of dose and the dynamization of it is a very important discovery in the field of homeopathy. Further, he says, the power developed by the process of dynamics is tremendous when it can take solid substances and make them tremendously useful in medicine. It is nothing less than a physical process by which dynamical energy latent in crude substances is liberated and developed and modified for use in medicine. The true dynamic action and principle was bound to be imitated in the attempt to modify violent poisonous morbific products of disease by transmitting them through the living animals and to so make them of use in medicine. The serums are an attempt in a crude way to imitate the simple though correct method of releasing power from violent poisons, but it is very inaccurate in principle, for living animals are constantly varying in many degrees, and it is a fraught with many uncertainties. Stuart Close has well compared this process in enunciating the standards of animal. So Hahnemann was the first who has started making the medicines more and more fine, dynamic, and he has developed a mathematical process. I mean, it is a mathematical mechanical process. And that's why he has made it very clear. The decimal scale which he has invented first was a wonderful example of it. Then he developed 50 millisimal scale at the nearly about at his last 10 years of his life. He worked very hard to come to reach to the 50 millisimal scale. So these are the things where the fixed law which he has utilized, and second important thing, fixed way of preparing the medicine. Vaccines came into existence, but vaccines have uncertainties. They are prepared on animals. They are prepared on different animals. And you cannot be sure that every animal has the same constitution, same reaction. And that's why there are many uncertainties while using the vaccines. So there is a big differentiation between the Hahnemannian concept and the vaccine concept. And that's why at the last, what he says, Stuart Close has well compared this process in enunciating the standards of Hahnemann. Number one, the Hahnemannian process is purely physical, objective, and mechanical. And that's what we know. It is purely physical, the way we prepare medicine, which is objective, visible, and third thing, which is mechanical, where you apply very specific force. He has given the timings, how many times you triturate, how much time you have to wait, then how to mix them thoroughly, then again how to go ahead. Everything he has clearly mentioned to prepare the medicine. Number two, it does not involve any uncertain, unseen, unreliable, nor unmeasurable factor. Its elements are simply substance or drug to be potentiated. A vehicle consisting of sugar of milk, alcohol, or water in certain quantities and definite proportion. Manipulations under conditions which are entirely under control and so simple that a child could comply with them. So there is no uncertainty when you prepare the medicine, because it is very specifically he has mentioned. He has mentioned about the reliable sources and how to utilize them, how the sugar of milk should be used as a vehicle or alcohol is used as a vehicle, in what proportion you should use it. Everything is written clearly. And that's why the preparation becomes a standard method. Third important thing, the resulting product is stable and may easily be made so. In fact, it is almost indestructible. And the experience of a century in its use under homeopathic methods and principles had proved it to be efficient and reliable in the treatment of all forms of disease amenable to the medication. So what is saying? Whatever the medicine which you prepared according to the standard methods of homeopathy, according to the Hahnemannian method, you are damn sure what may be the results will going to produce, and they are proved on healthy human beings, because of which we know it thoroughly. And last, what he says, the process is practically illimitable. Potentiation of medicine by this method may be carried to any extent desired or required. So this method, you can go ahead to any potency and you can reach to that and you can develop that. The experience of practical application of this power in disease is final test and arbiter of their power, and it always proves their value as a correct process in the cure of disease. Yet, even after repeated experience, we cannot fail to marvel at the universe of latent power released by so simple method. Again, quoting from the Stuart Close. So this method, which the Hahnemann have developed has very clear-cut understanding, very clear standardization, and because of which you are able to reach to a very perfect medicine. And what he says, again, he takes the help of Stuart Close, and what Stuart Close says, the fact as pointed out by Ozanam is the Hahnemann, by his discoveries of potentiation, raised homeopathy to a level with other natural sciences, since he created for it a method which is analogous to the infinitesimal calculus of mathematics, upon which is based the atomic theory of chemistry. It illustrates and harmonizes with the theory of interatomic ether of space, the theory of radiant state of matter, the theory of electric potential and of present-day physics, and with the chemico-cellular theory of physiology and pathological anatomy. So whatever Hahnemann have developed, it is part and parcel of all basic sciences. It is related with the physics, it is related with chemistry, it is related with the atom, it is related with nuclear energy. Everything, every science he has taken into consideration when he started developing the potentization, he started developing the dynamization. And what he further says, it agrees with the modern bacteriology in its explanation of the action of pathogenic microorganisms as being due to the infinitesimal quantities of their secreted poison. It is in harmony with latest conclusions of modern psychology. And so he has taken into consideration the bacteriology, he has taken into consideration the biology and everything. And because of which the medicines which we have prepared have a very scientific value. So it is not just a method which came into Hahnemann's mind and he tried. It is a method which came into Hahnemann's mind because of the thorough study about the physics, chemistry, biology, bacteriology, and even the neurology, everything he has taken into consideration when he came to the conclusion of making the dynamizations of medicine. And that's why in homeopathy, we have great value of this method invented by Hahnemann. It is not a discovery, it is invention in fact, because it was not there prior to the Hahnemann. It was his own thought and it is his own experimentation which led Hahnemann to the discovery of this basic dynamization of the drug. So here completes one more chapter from third year syllabus, the dynamic action of the drugs. Very important because you know all these scientific aspects. So if anyone cross you regarding those things, you must be able to explain the things to the everyone. The next chapter in third year syllabus is the next, that is immediately the dose. Again, a practical chapter. So tomorrow we'll start with the next chapter, the dose, and we'll continue with the 8. And today definitely we'll meet with the phosphorus. Yesterday it was not possible, but today I'm definitely we're going to start with the new remedy, the phosphorus from Alensky notes at 8:15. So be there and meet again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank
Have a
you,
good evening, sir.
everyone. Thank you, Mansi madam.
Thank you, sir.